this is why I'm doing therapy. I think therapy is very important for getting to know yourself. Like, this is the most important thing for also, and mostly for a founder, like, because you need to know your limits and your skills, like, so that you can delegate, you can work with people, or you can work on yourself in a better way. If you don't know yourself, it's very hard to create a successful business, or to be a happy person, I would say. Or maybe you're happy, but you don't really know. And at 40 years old or 50, you snap, and I don't want that to happen. I don't want a solution from a therapist. I want the therapist to have me to get there. That's the best therapy you can have. Because it's like when you're a kid, like, you won't listen to your mom, you won't listen to your dad, right? You would just want to do what you want. I mean, when you grow up, I'm 30 now. When you grow up, you listen, but a little bit more. Not all, you don't listen, everything, right? I mean, we will be a bit hypocrite to say that we just listen to someone and we do exactly what this person tells you. I had very dark moment where I just wanted to stay in bed, and things weren't working on the other side, so that was even worse. And I bet at least 50% of founders have been through it. At least. I don't know what the stats are. You probably know better, Ale, but I passed some time in bed where I couldn't move. I didn't want to move. And of course, family and friends were worried, But I think it was a phase, and it didn't happen anymore. It was some sort of burnout. It was the second time probably that I had it. And I kind of get better at it. Like, I know when it's coming, and then I need to, like, just go out 2 days, switching off my phone. And I do come back strong, I admit that.
Today, I'm sitting down with Simone Martinelli, a young founder who recently came back to his home country after COVID and was forced to return back home. We are discussing a lot about the cultural shock of returning home and building a new startup right from there, and also how he considers and uses mental therapy as a professional consultant for his own business so that he can really be the best version of himself every day at work and in his life. If you're in a similar situation yourself, then this conversation is for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, welcome back to the Founders Bible. Today we are with Simone. Just recently came back from Southeast Asia, right? Into Italy. How's life going?
Yes, hi, Hale. Nice to be here. Life is going well, working hard. And yes, came back to Italy a couple of years ago. And I'm looking forward to have this chat and get deep into my experience in Asia, and perhaps yours as well.
Yeah, definitely. Wonderful. So let me break the ice right away. First question that I ask everyone is why and how did you become a founder? And especially, how did you end up and how are you still a founder today? What's motivating you the most?
Um, you want the truth? I never wanted to be a founder. Like, my my father is an entrepreneur, and I've seen how dedicated he was, but how much time he spent working on the business instead of, for example, the family, right? Myself, So I grew up thinking I just want to be like an employee, and I just want to do as better as I can working as an employee. But then something changed, which was very unexpected. Like, actually, when I came back to Italy, because I was an employee in Asia, like, I couldn't find any job that motivated me. Like, that was like, okay, this is a great job, and that pays me well, and also provide, value into the world. And then I decided to, F it, and just, I'll do it myself. That was the reason why I started being a founder. And I guess the other part of the question was like why I keep doing this, right? And this is, and yeah, everybody's like, okay, why should I choose a job that is like, 8 hours a day, like no responsibility after work, instead of like 12, 15 hours a day, and, having the burn of, paying salaries, paying taxes and things like that. Well, the generic answer would be like, that is a huge learning opportunity. Like, if you can be an entrepreneur, if you can stay afloat. So, like, being not, like, don't die, don't make the business die, but just stay afloat, and is a huge learning opportunity. And for me, it has been a huge learning opportunity. Like this is really one of the things that I love the most of being a founder. Like learning every day the art path of an entrepreneur. It's amazing. Like I've learned so much. I was able to confront with so many people that do the same job, and it's great. That's one of the best part I prefer, the learning part.
Amazing. How hard is it, or how hard was it so far along the journey? I here at the Founders Bible, I like to talk a lot about the pain that is behind such a lifestyle. There's a lot of misconception. There is a lot of good marketing in the past years about startups, about making companies. Yeah, everybody should become their own boss and their own entrepreneur. The reality is that it's not that easy, and definitely we don't necessarily need to scare people, but I believe like an honest conversation is definitely due. So what have been the biggest pain so far for you in this journey?
Uh, my biggest pain so far. Everybody has their own pain. The biggest pain I had was scaling the business, and this is due to some unfortunate issues that I have with some, like partners and co-founders. That is one of the biggest reason why startups cease to exist. Right. So for me, this was a big part. Like one of the biggest pain is getting to know your co-founders, know who you're working with, what they can do. Life changes as well, so you cannot make a big deal out of it all the time. Like if, for example, I'm very happy that one of my previous co-founder had a baby, so he had to focus on his new startup, and so these things you cannot control, but it's very important that you work with people that you can trust, that they know what they can deliver, what you can deliver, and the vision has to be shared. But of course, generally talking speaking, the keyword is resilience. Like you need to be resilient to be a founder, to be an entrepreneur, because things change every day. For me, the biggest part will be like sacrificing things. Like when you talk to like you said, people are like, oh, you're a founder, entrepreneur, you must be living the Monaco life, like champagne and things like that. Is not that. It's a lot of work in your sometime in your bedroom, like work moving city to city. And one thing that is really really hard is to keep relationship alive, I think, both friends, family, and mostly love, right? So for example, personally, I have decided that I'm not going, it might sound crazy or that I'm sick in the head, but personally I've decided that if I don't find the right person that is right in terms of like what she wants, the time she needs from me, and things like, I'm not gonna go into any relationship because I know for sure already that I want to do this. What I'm building now. I don't want to. I want to think about my love, family in the future, but as of today, I cannot do it, and I cannot give as much as maybe the other person wants. So this is a huge sacrifice. I'm not. I'm sure that people feel the same. I have this conversation with my fellow founders, friends about the startups, and it's always the same. A lot of them can manage, but a lot of them, trust me, also can't. Same as me. So there is this concept of loneliness, and sometimes that is hard, and you need to be resilient and be strong. you know
How do you
I
manage
went a bit long.
loneliness?
Well, about the manage loneliness, like it's let me think about it, like that I can give you a proper, like, um well, I do have like three friends. Like I was counting the number of friends that I can. I do have like three friends that I can count anytime. That they understand exactly what I'm going through. They understand exactly my passion, my drive, my vision, and they are available all the time. I pick the phone up. So like, and this is something that also hurt me when I came back to Italy, that people couldn't understand this and actually cut their friendship with me because I wasn't available for a dinner on Saturday night, you know, because maybe that Saturday night I had to sleep or I had to finish some paperworks. But they wouldn't understand. And after maybe two or three times rejecting their invitation, they were like, Simo, this is not the friends I want to have. This is not a friend I want to have, referring. about me, and so I'm not going to invite you any longer, or I'm happy if you don't text me. And imagine me being already in that, lower dark zone, and also getting this kind of text or this kind of interaction. So I manage loneliness by having few people that I can rely on, and they really love me, and I know I can call them up even now, and just they'll pick up the phone.
You bring you build quite a big community in Italy as part of your job. Actually, this is your main goal, from what I understand. What do you see? Like, how much do you share, and do you see as a shared pain among other entrepreneurs within your community? What are you see like? How much is it? Okay, this I only have it versus okay, we all have the same problems.
Um, One of the biggest problem that I see is actually the search of co-founders. So within the community, I read every messages. It's around 1,200 messages per month, but that's how I get to know a lot about the startup community in Italy. I'm reading every messages, and one of the trickiest part was to find co-founders. One of the things I mentioned at the beginning. So like for that, then we created a service for Bocconi. We address in part. There are a lot of companies trying to address this. It's very hard to find co-founders, which are complementary to your technical skills as well as a person. So this is a huge problem. Another problem is to raise capital. It's very big, mostly in Italy. Trust me, I've been raising capital, and I know what I'm talking about. Like you can come up with the smartest idea, with a business plan, with a team, with some kind of traction. But if it's not the traction that they're looking for, then they won't invest in you. It's very hard for them to make a leap of faith, and this should be the opposite, right? That should be the opposite. So I understand that investor has to be careful, but in Italy is definitely too careful. Just a small thing about, I had a call with a huge American accelerator company, which is not yet in Italy, and they're thinking about it. I cannot say more than this. And we basically had a call for an hour where he just talk bad about the Italian startup ecosystem, you know? And so this is like, it's saying my city, which is a small city in America, has more venture capital rounds than the whole Italy. And it's like 12 times the population. And we are a country. Okay. So this is just to put it into these are the very
Yeah, well,
big issues.
the topic of Italian startup ecosystem, it's a long one, and I wouldn't go too much into that because,
No, but
to be
I in
honest,
fact, Ale, sorry if I interrupt, but this was the technical part. Now let's go to the
yeah.
like what founders. Sorry, this is my professional use, of talking about certain stuff. But of course, then I also go into the personal part with founders, and lots of them text me privately, and we have conversations. Some of them I try to call, and we share the same things. It's hard to manage a company. It's hard to open a company. It's hard to work with lawyers, and that creates instantly within themselves like some sort of like uncertainty, right, of every day. So like then to make any kind of decision, you have to think it about 2 or 3 times, which is the opposite how it should be. There is this huge level of uncertainty, and that leads to a bit of melancholia, a bit of like I'm not fit for this, so it creates a lot of this. I'm sure you have the same kind of experience with your startup, right? So
Way too
what
much,
would
I
you
would
add?
say, definitely.
Yeah, it's it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
always that kind of thing, and obviously mental health is a huge component to this. You're talking about it in the podcast. There are a few friends of mine that actually that's how I heard about your podcast, that keep sharing content on the subject, on the matter, and it's very, very important. I think the shift is happening, is very slow, but we're also in Italy in a market that is very difficult. So it will take some time for sure.
You mentioned mental health. We discussed a little bit before hitting the record button that you also visit regularly, or like in different time of the years at different cycles, like a therapist, right? What's your experience with this, and especially how do you see this as a tool within the different toolkits of a founder, right? The statistics are talking relatively clear about this topic, which is founders have all of the problems that we mentioned, but they don't seek help. And some of them is because they don't want to show that they are like
Weak.
no, yeah, I would say weak. Yeah, probably that's the right word. In other cases, they don't really just know who to ask. So, what has been your journey on this? Did you go into therapy before even becoming a founder? What does it represent to you? Let's break a little bit the taboo behind this topic.
Sure. What represent for me is like a consultant. Okay, like if because now I'm in business, so like I see it as a consultant, which is actually what it is, right? And I've started before, as you mentioned correctly. I started before going in to being a founder, because I had some, let's say, issue with my family. Let's say, like, I wanted to know more about myself. I want to know why I was so adverse to my family, as a youngster, right? As a young guy moving around the world, like, and I had this resentment towards my family. So I started before, and I there was nothing new. Like, the person was there, was competent, and she just helped me to get through it and to think about it. Okay, so, and this is why I'm doing therapy. I think therapy is very important for getting to know yourself. Like, this is the most important thing for also, and mostly for a founder. Like, because you need to know your limits and your skills, like, so that you can delegate, you can work with people, or you can work on yourself in a better way. If you don't know yourself, it's very hard to create a successful business, or to be a happy person, I would say. Or maybe you're happy, but you don't really know. And at 40 years old or 50, you snap, and I don't want that to happen, you know? So, in the founder part, I mean, when I went back to therapy, when I was doing my startup, my goal was to understand my limits even better. So, like, why can I not get to that client? Why can I not get to that investor? Why am I having a problem with my co-founders? How I should have handled this situation. That's why I'm calling it a consultant, because at the end of the day, you, in that room on that sofa, you talk about what you want, and the other person is there to talk with you. It's a chat, something like we're having at the moment. And the biggest thing I can suggest, like, is so good to talk about it. You feel so relaxed after, like, oh, like, it's like you talk to a friend, but you don't want always to talk to your friends about your problems. Otherwise, you become a problem for them, and you don't want that. So yeah, I will really recommend that, for founders, and I do it on, like, a time to time basis. So I try to stop, because then I don't want to be dependent on that too. I want to learn how to do it myself. I think that's the end goal. And then, of course, along the way, having sometimes talking with other people and adjust.
Yeah, this is very interesting because the regularity and not becoming dependent is actually one of the it has been always one of my kind of cons big points in the list. I never actually done therapy in that sense, like in the traditional sense. It came several times in situations where people acted as my therapy, and I used to say to my former co-founder in my previous company, especially becoming a therapist for my team, because sometimes you really have to deal with some bullshit, and he's like, do I really have to do it? He's like, well, probably if we want to maintain the company culture and the team integration and so on, probably it's better if I also develop the skills myself. But for me, it's always been not like a go-to solution, because I never felt that there could be somebody that could really understand what we go through. And recently, one founder that I interviewed, he told me something very clear. It's like, if there were former founders, former CEOs that turn into therapists, they would be like super successful, because people would really understand and would really perceive them as, oh, they get it. Like, they went through the same shit. So I mean, in general, I always had also like kind of a weird eye towards consultants in general. I've been bombarded by so many of these young people that they were trying to sell me bullshit from EY or whatever other consulting company. Even when I was fundraising myself, the typical young guy. Oh, I have the CRM from my consulting company. Do you want the
Yeah, yeah,
service of fundraising on your behalf and stuff like that? Of course, it never works. So, by the way, yeah, this is also a big disclaimer. If you don't fundraise yourself, forget about it. Doing it for
yeah, yeah,
somebody
yeah, yeah.
else.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, on that, I'm actually helping some companies to fundraise, but on success. So not asking any money, and the founder is 100% involved. So I totally agree with that part of fundraising. But yeah, I call them consultant. That was just like how I see
No,
them.
no, that's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
that's
yeah.
your view on it.
Mm,
Everybody has
yeah, yeah,
their
yeah,
own
yeah.
different view.
But
I'm
I also don't
curious.
like that kind of consultant. I agree with you.
Yeah. When like when did you understand that this person could be really helpful to you? Is it because you were doing it from before becoming a founder, or in your mind you always had a like the chance, probably the luck of finding the right person to work with from day zero, and therefore for you you said, look, I would have done it anyway, even if I were already been a co-founder before.
First of all, like the idea about the startup ex-startup founder being therapist is amazing. And when you were talking about it, I was like, I know what is about to say. It's amazing. Okay, but I guess it's also like a bit of a taboo. Like again, I was lucky. I don't know. I think I was lucky. I found the person that let me talk, and that was the most important thing for me. Like for me, it was important to talk about it, not someone to have to give me a solution. I don't want a solution from a therapist. I want the therapist to have me to get there. That's the best therapy you can have. Because it's like when you're a kid, like you won't listen to your mom, you won't listen to your dad, right? You would just want to do what you want. I mean, when you grow up, I'm 30 now. When you grow up, you listen, but a little bit more. Not all, you don't listen, everything, right? I mean, we would be a bit hypocrite to say that we just listen to someone and we do exactly what this person tells you. So
You
for
wouldn't be
me,
a
like,
founder anyway, right? Because
exactly,
somebody else
exactly.
would run the company for you then.
Exactly. Or you would have closed when people told you like that's a shit idea, like it's a shit business. So like, which most of the time like is true, but you want to see it yourself. You want to have, that's what I was talking at the beginning. You want to have that experience, that learning that then helps you to be a second time founder, third time founder, which by the way are the most invested on. But for me, it was just luck. I think I change it. I change it. When I was in Italy, change it one time, and then the second time I found the same person similar to what I had before, but before it was with Asia time zone, so I couldn't have it in Italy. But the thing is, like, that person had me to talk. She let me talk, and she listened to me, and she gave me like just idea to think about it, and then to come back to the next session with some sort of like, have you thought about it? What have you thought about? And the answer comes by yourself, like, because at the end of the day it has to come within yourself, and it has to come as per your person. Like, you cannot like find a solution which is for somebody else. It has to, and for other people, kind of attitude and skills. It has to resonate with you, with your persona, with what you can do. And that was, for me, this is the best. For me, it works very well, and that I will suggest people to find someone that let them talk, more than this to go to therapy to look for answers. You need to find answers with the therapist, but not to she or he is not going to give you the answer. At least that's not a good therapist, I think.
Okay, let me make a quick break from the show to explain you why this project came alive. 6 months ago, I started interviewing founders to understand what were the secret sauces for their success. But even more importantly, I was curious to understand how much pain they had to go through in order to achieve their dreams. I've been an entrepreneur myself for the past 10 years, and I know exactly how painful this journey is, but very few people are actually willing to talk about it. And that's exactly what we're doing at the Founders Bible for Resilience. We're finally breaking the toxic hustle culture behind startup life. I'm on a mission to build a new generation of founders that can leverage ancient wisdom and science for true long term peak performance and longevity. If you want to be part of this movement, then check out wholegrainwisdom.com and join us now. Okay, now back to the show. You are doing something that I would call kind of the opposite of a traditional founder, in the sense that, if anyone would ask me how it is to build a company in Italy, and I this is also something that I'd say myself after the second company in Italy: don't do it in Italy, go abroad. And that's why also I left a couple of months ago. But you actually came back. You were living in Asia. Tell me a little bit about that experience, and how is it helping, or what is it giving you as an extra kind of push and drive to do what you're doing in Italy?
I came back at the beginning of 2022, the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. I tried to stay with COVID in Asia, but I was in Vietnam at the time, and it was crazy. Like, like we complain so much. It's not a match, it's not a race, but trust me, it was extremely bad down there. And at the end, my flatmate left, and I was alone for 3 months, and I decided I can't. Either I go crazy or I go back. So came back to Italy, where at the beginning I had huge counter-cultural shock. So like, instead of cultural shock, counter-cultural shock, because like it's so different, man. Like in Asia, you have tons of expats, tons of Italians, tons of Americans, tons of French, Spanish, South American, Japanese, whatever, and of course the locals, right? But the vibe is much more international. So one thing that really that really changed, that I had to work on a lot coming back to Italy, was that most of European, I would say Southern European countries, they cannot make difference among between personal life and professional life. Having a good relationship, even fake, is so important over here. And I hate it. I disgust this so much. In Asia, where I used to work, even between Americans, not just, again, in Asia is a huge expat community. Like, it's like when people say Asia, oh, you've been just, no, no, it's huge. You have Chinese, Americans, Vietnamese, Singaporean, French, you have every kind of person, mostly in the capital city. And it's very easy there to separate professional and personal life, which makes work so much easier and so much more direct and result oriented. So one of the biggest thing I had to learn again was to, okay, people here, even at work, they want to be treated as people and have a personal relationship. So if you do a terrible job, or if you don't meet KPIs, I cannot come to you and demand for them. I need to come to you and be like going around it, just like being
Having a
nice about it,
coffee and
having
then
a
getting
stupid
lunch.
coffee, wasting 10 minutes of chit chat in a call of 20 minutes, which could have been an email, but the email is not good because it's too direct, you know, and things like that. I hate this. I still hate this, but I have to adapt to this, if you want to work here. I hate it. I think it's terrible for work. I think it's terrible. But people want it this way. And I'm no one to come back and be like, I'm gonna change it because I'm not smarter than everybody. I'm actually the weird one here. But this was a huge thing, and I'm still having issues to adapt to this. I admit, I still have. If I have an issue at work, it's probably because I'm too pushy. Sometimes I'm too arrogant, and that comes out all the time. I have a business relationship. Okay, so this is one thing. Other things were obviously for me, like I was coming back once a year, so I'm not kid. I don't kid that I had very dark moment where I just wanted to stay in bed, and things weren't working on the other side, so that was even worse. And I bet at least 50% of founders have been through it. At least, I don't know what the stats are. You probably know better, Ale, but I passed some time in bed where I couldn't move. I didn't want to move, and of course, family and friends were worried. Um, But I think it was a phase, and it didn't happen anymore. It was some sort of burnout. It was the second time probably that I had it. And I kind of get better at it. Like I know when it's coming, and then I need to like go out 2 days, switching off my phone, and I do come back strong. I admit that. I don't know if that happened to you. If what's your I mean, we also want to know about you, Ale, right? So like you probably, but like that happened to you, like similar, like what do you think about what I just said? Like, do you?
Well, the story for me is like I've been a workaholic since I can remember from high
Yeah,
school
me too.
already. So, and it's kind of weird because now I'm actually working hard to work less. So the concept of working smart instead of hard and actually getting way better returns. And the problem, probably this is something I can share more into depth because all of the micro details of what happened, I spend my time writing my newsletter on Whole Great Wisdom. So if people are interested, very happy to bring them there on the newsletter, where I also share, let's say, the scientific and ancient wisdom behind all of the certain behaviors. But one thing that really comes to my mind right now when you ask me this is uh, that when you are into that state, you really attract people that are exactly in the same state. So for me, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, or like a never-ending loop of confirmation bias. Because if you're a
Mm,
workaholic, and I was born in Milan, so I grew up in Milan for high school, then I left, then I came back. I mean, similar story. I've done probably a bunch of or more back and forth until the point that I was kind of forced to be back in Italy and work on my previous company. Well, not really forced. I decided, but somehow I never expected to stay that long. And
mm,
after a while, I could really see, and especially now getting out of that energy kind of vibration level, I really see that you attract and you keep attracting the people that are very same like you. So if you're a workaholic, it's normal for you because everyone else around you are actually working even harder, or at least they're telling publicly that they're working harder. So there is kind of like this FOMO, which pushes you to work even farther and farther until the point that you think that there are ways to not end up in burnout. And for me, that was, for instance, when I started meditation, I definitely increased my level of resilience because I could manage stress and I could eliminate panic attacks. I started after COVID biohacking, so much better diet and supplementation and all of the little kind of nootropics for the brain. I mean, there is a huge topic and huge market around these topics. But at the end of the day, what I noticed is that you can work as much as you want, but if you are into the workaholic hustle culture kind of mindset, you keep forgetting and you keep denying what doesn't work in front of you. Like you are busy being busy instead of actually really being focused on what moves the needle. This is also something that a lot of people from Silicon Valley and so on speak about, but I think very few people really understand it, like really acknowledge it and do it. Because you know the Pareto law, right? The 80-20. If you are stuck into a workaholic situation, you don't want to go into the Pareto law or the right side of the Pareto law. And you just don't want to see it. You don't want to admit that all of this amount of energy and work is actually a waste of time and a waste of energy. If you just focus on the right thing, it's actually going to be much easier. So yeah, this is something that I think it will come out around summer, a series of articles regarding this topic, because I really want to take it from the scientific point of view, how your brain waves literally
mm.
changes, uh, and also from an ancient point of view, like what the ancient tell us. Like I hated so much studying Latin and Greek when I was in high school. Now somehow
Yeah,
probably
me
my
too,
mother will
man.
be, I told you that
Me
it was
too.
gonna be
I hate
good.
it. Just copied all the thing from the first iPhones that came out. Like one of my classmates, two of my classmates, the first iPhone, and they were just passing these iPhones around everyone. But
I'm a
I
little
mean,
bit
everybody.
older than you, and the iPhones were not there
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
but I
Just the
know
first
the
one.
feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So let me wrap it up, Simo. I ask you one last question, which
Sure.
is connected to what we were discussing about when you feel down, and the three friends that you were mentioning before, what is your current support system right now? Like when things really get bad,
Sure,
or even before they get bad, like you have a system to understand, okay, that's something that I need to work not alone, like I need to get support. And if you could have like an unlimited budget, unlimited access to knowledge and people, and you would have 5 seats for your personal board of advisors, for supporting you, like your personal support system. Don't think about it from a business perspective only. Think about it as a what or a who that you would implement for yourself, for your personal team of support. Guide me
sure.
through a little bit. What do you do now? What do you eventually want to do next?
Sure. Before we go into it, like just quickly on what you said before, because I think he had something like I totally agree with you, the 80-20, whatever. But there is one thing, and don't you think it comes also with age? Like, for example, I'm 30 now, and now I totally agree with what you said. I totally agree with what you said. Before, I couldn't afford to study like huge university, even though I could have gone. And so I wanted to be valuable on the workplace. And that's why I worked like crazy from 21 until 30, until now. I'm still working like crazy, but now I'm going into do what you said, because now I feel like I have overall very good skill set that can allow me to scale by the 80-20. But I just want, because like being an entrepreneur, being a valuable asset in today's workplace, it's not easy. So you have to be a bit UVP, unique value proposition, unique value. You have to have a unique value proposition somehow, like which is not that you have to die of work and stuff like that, but then smartly study, always study, read, get informed, create a network, like something that will have you to step up a bit in this very, very competitive world. This is very important, like, because people, this is what I learned in Asia. It's something I haven't mentioned to you before, that we are very spoiled in Europe. We think everything is given. Just a very quick example. I was on a dance floor, a dance party in open air last Saturday, and one of my friends was complaining because it was raining, and I told her, like, it's, I mean, not as not a bad this way, but I kind of made a discussion, and she loved it, where it was like, listen, we are a very lucky person. We are on a Saturday afternoon dancing with so many people. There is no war in our country. There is no famine in our country. We have food, water, and everything. We have resources. And that's something that I've learned from Asia a lot, like not to complain, not to look about the small details, and that helps. And this is one thing that, leading to your next question, helped me to keep things in track and feet on the ground. Like I try to concentrate only on real problems. That's something that I don't get pissed or annoyed or down by small things anymore. Oh, a client didn't work, no problem. Oh, I'm a bit sick, no problem. It's not huge. There are so many bigger problems in the world. And going back to how I manage my mental health and how I keep focus, I do therapy from time to time. I have quit on February this time. I was doing it since September, so I thought there was enough, and now let's see, once for sure next year. Let's see if this year I will go back. As I mentioned before, I do these circles to kind of like circle back to my person, what I'm doing, why am I doing it. It's more, again, talking to myself. I don't do meditation yet. I'm actually terrible. I cannot even touch my toes. I'm that disgusting person. But I do. I do. I love breathing exercise. It's something I learned with one of my ex-girlfriends, that she was very into it, and that's something that she left for me. And I love doing breathing exercise. When there is one day that is more stressful than others, I take 20 minutes to like breathe. It's very simple. It's breathing in and out, sometimes keeping the breath inside. You can just Google it and find ways to do it. Another thing that is very important for me is to play sport. I'm not a gym guy, but at least having a couple of times a week where I release that endorphins and I do some sport. It can be a run. It can be, I love to play futsal or tennis or things like that. The last thing is to sleep. Like, I've learned that I cannot do it anymore if I don't sleep enough. So sometimes I do actually cancel calls and things like that I don't find valuable, or like they're not as valuable as I need my energy to be valuable on other calls, on other tasks, I cancel them. I'm sorry, and I sleep through because I need to sleep my hours. This is very important. Something that at 30 years old, you need to get proper sleep, and I'm not the lucky person that can sleep 5 hours, and I need at least 7 hours a day of sleep. For now, let's see in the future. If I have to find my top five, it will be my grandmother. She's no longer with us, but that she was really like the most supportive person in the whole family, and something that like she was the supportive part of my brain until she passed, and still is. My brother, I love my brother. We have a wonderful relationship. Not the one I hope. I wish we could have more, but I live in another city. I've lived so far for many years. But aside from that, I keep a wonderful relationship with my brother. He's the very important person in my life. And then those three friends that I mentioned to you before. Those will be my five-a-side or basketball team with me, as I don't know what I will be the sixth man or something like that. But that will be the persons for me to carry me along in my life. And for now, that's how it is, and I love to keep it this way.
Wonderful, Simo. Thanks so much for the amazing conversation, and hope to meet again and to share and to see also the evolution of this venture.
We must catch up in Asia, man, for sure. I have to come back to
Absolutely.
some time. Ciao, Ale. Thank you so
Wonderful.
much.
Bye.